all, and welcome back to the second day of Home Delivery Asia 2021 Warehousing and Inventory Management channel. My name is Kathleen as your host. Before I introduce our first panel session for today, just a quick reminder that the opinions expressed during the session are through our panelists alone and don't necessarily reflect their organizations. Also, to remind everyone to be involved in the conversation. If you're watching on a computer screen, just look over on the right side and you will see the live discussion area where you can chat with other attendees and drop your questions to our panelists. And if you are watching on a mobile device, then the live discussion area is just underneath. I am delighted to welcome everyone in this panel titled Making Your Warehouse Truly Agile. Panelists are ASEAN Supply Chain and Manufacturing Director for Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam of AJE Group and also the Senior Product Manager of Koch.com.au. This will be moderated by the independent SCM consultant, trainer, and chair of Business Administration Program of Thames International Business School, Norman Adriano. Over to you, Norman.
Thank you, Kathleen, and good morning, Raul and Tony. How are you today?
Good morning. Very good, Norman. Happy to be here.
Very well, Norman.
So it's good to have you here. Okay, so our topic is about agile warehousing, and I will be asking some questions that both of you can answer. Okay, so just one question for both of you to answer. So we have about 45 to 50 minutes, and then we will look at the chat box for questions that you will have to answer also. Okay, so are we ready?
Ready?
Okay, so we start with by asking you. I will start by asking you to give a brief background about yourselves. Let's start with Raul.
Okay, Norman. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Yes, this is Raul Samaniego. I am from Peru. I am industrial engineer with MBA specialization in supply chain and finance. So I have more than 25 years of experience in different industries related with supply chain, but in different industries like FMCG, automotive, energy. Some of them very different in the business, but have very similar approaches in the supply chain strategies. I joined to Agile Group. Agile is a multinational beverage company with presence in more than 22 countries in America, Africa, and Asia, principally. And I came to Agile Group for leading and implement the supply chain in Indonesia, Agile Indonesia. Agile Indonesia was on that time one of the biggest operations in the group, even leading in the market of carbonated drinks. So during that time, I implement and integrate the supply chain end to end, right? Currently, I am the director of the region in ASEAN. We have operations in Thailand, Indonesia, and Vietnam in an end-to-end supply chain that includes manufacturing, quality, planning, logistics, and purchasing. Also, I am lecturer in some Latin American and Southeast Asia University and also speaker in international conference. I author of a book. My book is Challenging Global Supply Chains, first written in Spanish, but now in the process of translating to English. Thank you.
Thank you, Raul. I can relate to your background because just like you, I'm an industrial engineer with end-to-end supply chain experience. Okay, thank you. Let's go to Tony.
I'm Tony Shu. I'm the head of product operations at Catch. Prior to this, I'm more of a pure play online e-commerce supply chain person. So prior to this, I was at Australia Post, where I was the chief technology officer and the director of one of their startups, which focused on e-commerce fulfillment for small and medium customers. And during that period, I started that division, and we repurposed a B2B supply chain and focused the warehousing and the assets, and repurposed the technology to focus primarily on a much quicker growing B2C e-commerce segment. And that scaled very quickly and very successfully. And it's one of the premier kind of e-commerce fulfillment options for small and medium businesses in Australia. After that, I moved on. I was the director of product and technology out at Yellow Pages, and less supply chain there, and a lot more kind of site and conversion and directory services. For the past year, I've been the head of product operations at Catch, primarily focusing on, again, the B2C experience and the final mile for e-commerce. Catch is one of the largest marketplaces in Australia. It's a general merchandise retailer. So we sell across beauty, apparel, electronics, and all sorts of different verticals. And I guess it's been a whirlwind of a ride as we scale up over COVID and also the larger proportion of e-commerce that's coming online now.
Oh, thank you, Tony. This topic of ours today is very close to my heart because you know that my first managerial job was as warehouse manager for A1 Cosmetics. So anyway, to start off our discussion, because we're talking about agile warehousing, I guess it's proper that we define what do we mean by agile warehousing. Tony?
For me in e-commerce, it's kind of twofold. The first one is the channel support. So being able to support a warehousing that can support high volume B2C and B2B. In many cases, we have a large transition between the two modes still occurring. And B2B, most warehouses for a lot of companies service both their B2C and their B2B customers. The second part is the ability to cope with surge volumes. Black Friday now, COVID, Christmas, there is a Singles Day, there is a surge every quarter. And so it's not really a once a year event anymore. It's something that there's no going back now. And having a warehouse that can cope with the peaks and troughs without impacting the customer experience and the service levels for the organization is a key part of that. So that's kind of the second part. The third part for an agile warehouse for me is flexibility across the types of SKUs and products that it can hold. We are getting, thanks to Amazon, everyone is building bigger and bigger sheds. When I was starting off in my career, a 30 or 50,000 square meter shed was a very big one. And we have Amazon and out in Australia has just built a 200,000 square meter shed. There are bigger ones at play across the world. And so with the larger and larger sizes of warehousing that are coming on board, the need to be able to take a wide variety of stock, whether bulky or sortable or mixing some dangerous goods in there, even particularly with hand sanitizers and the like, is one of the key parts for me of agility in the next kind of generation of warehousing. And finally, warehouse management systems. So the technology layer, the automation layer, it gets more and more sophisticated every year, and I think we're becoming more and more technology. Agile is truly going the agile technology way, where I think many implementations are going to take 6 months or less rather than the traditional 18, 24 months to stand up a shed.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Agile warehousing and all of those things that we do today, they will not be possible without the use of technology, right? So let me give the floor to Raul.
Yes, very interesting about Tony mentioned about the concept of agile. Agility means like readiness to change, from business perspective, from supply chain, and for sure in the warehouse. The warehouse is have a very important role in the supply chain. It's like in sometimes the face with the customer or the last link within the company before to delivery to the customer. I remember when I started my professional career more than 25 years ago in Peru, in Alicorp, in the largest Peruvian company. Nobody wants to be in warehouse, right? go to warehouse is like a punishment.
Yeah, correct.
Yes. But this role in the warehouse is changing and be more protagonist, a main role in all the process, because this readiness to change is impacting directly and is more visible in the warehouses, right? I think the agile concept has been shifting to nearly all facets of business, and for sure in warehouse was a very important role. Nowadays that we have a very volatile market with a lot of turbulence, this value, this capability is very highly appreciated in the business, in the supply chain. In warehouse management affects the order fulfillment, inventory management, the shipping, the distribution. So actually, I think the agility in the warehousing is the motor, is the engine that can reflect that all the organization do in terms of capacity of responsiveness, and in flexibility also.
Yeah, so, I remember because of what you said. I remember when I became manager of warehouse. The traditional thinking is that if you are a problem employee, you go to the warehouse. It's like the purgatory for sinners, right? Anyway,
Yes, totally.
Even 12, 13 years ago when I started my career, and that's not that long ago, I'm a bit younger, that was still a punishment, Norman. Raul, to go. I volunteered for the warehouse, and people were, why do you want to do that? There's a million better places to be, But as it turned out, I picked a pretty good growth industry in e-commerce.
it has changed a lot from those times, right? So warehouse now is the focus for all of these things that are happening today, right? So anyway,
Exactly.
what do you think are the key benefits an agile warehouse can deliver to your respective businesses? Tony.
I want to kind of talk about a little bit about automation, because that's one of the kind of key, I guess, parts of the catch proposition that we've really been able to build out. So we've got a 60,000 square meter warehouse in Melbourne. We're building another one in Sydney, and both of them are highly automated warehouses. One with an OSR KNAPP machine, and the other one with the traditional robots that you see, the AMR robots that are coming online. And there are some real benefits to these ones. For example, the AMRs are very flexible. You can turn them on, you can turn them off. They cater well for peaks and troughs in demand, and they create a really good kind of swing way of servicing customers. The OSRs or the KNAPP machines, the big kind of 6-level giants, as we call them, they're phenomenal for throughput. And as we see something on Black Friday where you need a huge amount of throughput on a small amount of SKUs as kind of your core range, or your 80/20, but you also need the flexibility across the larger SKU range to be able to pick and pack. One of the really great parts of combining some of the different types of automation that are around is being able to really deal with the throughput and the horsepower that you need for something like Black Friday, but also retaining enough flexibility so you can be flexible with, opportunistic buys, good bargains, short-term seasonal SKU ranges. So they're all really important to support our model of kind of great prices and low prices and great bargains for Australian consumers.
Yeah, that's interesting. How about your role? What are the key benefits that agile warehousing delivered to your to AJE?
Yes, for us, the key benefits that in Agile warehouse is reduce the risk, right? We have a better performance and also better supplier performance, keeps cost and schedules in line, also give more visibility to check the pain points, This can allow us to improve the fulfillment of the customer requirements on time, on budget, with the quality. And I think a very important benefit is that it's a scale for growth, right? Because this execution with agility allows to our supply chain and our warehouse to be more confident to approach and pursue new pursuits, opportunities, new business opportunities, new challenge, new models, right? All the team is like a well-oiled, it's a well-oiled machine. I think also it's very important for saving costs, right? For respond to the market demands, maintaining flexibility and keeping the productivity high. I would say one of the most important elements that we are taking advantage of or taking benefits of the agility is about to respond directly to the demand, no? Rather than the forecasting. Forecasting is a very important
It's just for
role.
planning. Yeah.
Yes, the planning for sure.
Yeah.
But always the forecast is wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Always. Okay. So this agility to respond directly to the demand and to the volatility of the demand is still on pursue and on movement goal that all of this agility align to all organization to pursue. I think this is the most the key benefits that we are looking in this agility warehousing and supply chain.
Yeah, you mentioned about elements for creating an agile warehouse. So we all know that the warehouse operations improvement it's a journey. It's a never-ending journey because
Exactly.
you have to align yourselves to customer demand, not forecasts, right? So what do you think are the fundamental elements that you need so that you can create agile warehouses? I'm just this is just a follow-up question to you, Raul, but I will also pose this question to Tony. The fundamental elements.
Okay, it's to me the question, right? Yes, I think the key element and the fundamental elements in the agile warehousing and supply chains are the sensitivity to consumers' demand, right? The agile warehousing and supply chain should be speed, focusing costing and efficiency, right? And also it's very important about the culture of the organization, the empowerment of the teams, right? You cannot implement this kind of models if the culture of the organization, the culture of continuous improvement is not in the employees, and not only in the people that make decisions, not only in the managers, only in all the teams that are involved in the managing of the warehousing in this case. For example, we in our sessions of SNOP, we also evaluate different scenarios, right? Different possible actions, but most important to define which route we will take is the people involved understand why we are doing and why we are taking this action in different scenarios. So that's why it's very important the implementation of the culture, right? A customer-centric culture and flexibility. This is one of the biggest challenges. I say we can implement. You can have a very good software, a very good ERP, but if the people are not engaged with this, it would be very difficult. For me, it was more my biggest challenge here was to can change the mindset, because also it's cultural. It's also about the countries. For me, was a different total the mindset of working in Latin America and Asia about to the ambiguity, the volatility, the turbulence. Maybe in Latin America we are more get used with the kind of politics, economics, turbulence. And this kind of mindset is very important to ingrain in the people, right? Also, a very fundamental element for us in the implementation is about the partner relationship, not only with suppliers, also with the customers, right? How you identify in your Pareto, in your priorities, uh, customers and suppliers that can make this agility happens, right? A lot of projects that we work, for example, with customers, with the key customers in terms of know the demand online in the real time, and also share with them our plan, our production plan in the weeks ahead, helps a lot in the good communication and in a good partner relationship, because uh, sooner or late will happen any issue different that you plan. So this can react in a very fast way to any turbulence or any change in the market.
Yeah, you were talking about mindsets. You know, people ask me in supply chain, what is the most difficult to change? And I always tell them the mindset. Okay. So,
Totally agree.
throwing the same question to you, Tony, what do you think are the fundamental elements you need for an agile warehouse?
I think for me, Raul hit the point really well with the process and the human improvement and the continuous improvement of culture and people. Um, Warehouse operations has and particularly if you hire warehouse directors, supply chain directors, operations managers, they have a huge focus on process people, the Six Sigma systems and the like. And so if I think about the people and the process, all good warehousing operations have a kind of continuous improvement type operation going on within them. And it's very important to the productivity, the cost space of the site, and the service quality. One of the things that, I am a technologist. I look over not only the platforms of our site and our retail marketplace areas, but also our fulfillment. And it always struck me as very funny in that every other site that I've ever managed digitally has had a huge focus on technology debt. How do we reduce technology debt? How do we reduce platform engineering? How do we ensure that product engineering, product features have the best kind of throughput possible by keeping technology debt low? And in the warehousing space, it strikes me as funny is the technology is very much set and forget. We put a warehouse management system in 10 years ago, and we're done. But the technology has to keep pace with the people and process improvement, right? There's a continual investment and a reduction of platform and technology debt that needs to occur on the technology side, and iterative improvement. So one area I think who's done this really, really well is Amazon. You look at the investment in people and processes, but also matched by the investment in technology and cutting edge kind of, machine learning and analytics into the warehousing operation. They view continuous improvement as people, process, and technology, whereas I think a lot of sites for me are people and process, and the technology gets done once every 5 or 7 years when it gets to the end of life. So for me, I'll just add to Raul's point is I think the continuous improvement of the technology layer is also a key component of creating an agile and a modern warehousing operation.
I agree with you, Tony. The technology part is always the enabler of all of these ideas that we want to to implement so that we can satisfy our customers. So talking about customers, okay. You are in agile warehousing. What do you think agile warehousing offers or gives value or additional value? How does it give additional value to your customers? Okay, so I will start with you, Tony.
A couple of really good ways it can do it. For example, I'll take Catch. We have click and collect at 400 Kmart stores across the country, right? And we have at-home delivery as well, and we have express delivery. And so each of those has a different SLA and some of them have different carriers. So Agile warehousing supports two things. First of all, the speed. So the ability to pre-sort, inject into post, gives us the speed necessary to compete in e-commerce. And we save on average, 1 to 2 days doing that across the country in the major cities, and being able to pre-sort, load into trucks, inject that into the network, into Australia Post's network, gives us the necessary speed to keep up with the customer promise. There's also speed of dispatch, which for Express Post, being able to change that, pick it on the same day, get it out the door. Well, customers are paying for that additional speed as well. The second part of that is flexibility. So, we have omni-channel operations. We're part of the West Farmers Group and Kmart Group, which has bricks and mortar stores across the country, 400 of them. And one of the kind of great flexible options we provide our customers is their ability to walk into a Kmart store and pick up an item and order online and pick it up there. And so one of the things that Agile warehousing supports is this kind of omni-channel, direct-to-consumer, direct-to-business, direct-to-stockholding transfer. And all three of those modes can be done at a good productivity rate, at a good cost, and at a good service delivery angle for the customer. So no matter what they choose on the site, they will get it when we tell them they're going to get it, and in a good time frame.
Thank you. How about you, Raul? How does your agile warehousing activities benefit your customers?
I think the delivery in value has always been the priority of the agile teams, the agile warehouse. I'd say for our customer to prevent late shipments, to prevent any disruption, material shortage, damaged goods, is a very good value for the customers, right? When we are in the process of the integration and we are in the process of sharing information, is what they appreciate a lot, and they compare also a lot how improve the out of stock, how improve also the level of inventory, right? So better service level, less inventory, better anticipation for launching maybe new flavors, new categories, new products in the market. So when we manage it, for example, this environment or this framework about the agility system allows us to can implement some initiatives like VMI, for example, with some key customers, and the results are incredible in terms of inventory levels, in terms of impairments or write-off, right? So in terms of cost, I think it's a great value to our customers, and also we're sharing costs, we're sharing savings with them, for example, because also our accuracy in the production, in a delivery is much better, right? This allows us also to make a better maintenance or better output in our machines, to can deliver also better quality in our products in our times of delivery. So I think the key benefit of agility is focusing on avoiding potential shortage, right? And also, for sure, now we are looking all in this situation, in this context of the pandemic, and also the supply chain challenge in terms of cost, in terms of deliveries, is about the reducing the working capital. And I think this is a very important point that the customers appreciate a lot.
Okay, thank you. It just while you were talking, it just came to mind that this agile warehousing. Was this something that that was customer? In your case, did you do this because you saw the future, or did you do this because your customer demanded, that you have something like this? and that I'm thinking because yesterday I was able to interview the a lady from Food Panda. Okay, and we talked about Q-commerce or the quick commerce. Okay, where there's the ability to be able to deliver orders coming from customers within an hour, and in their case it's 20 minutes. So these two, agile warehousing and the Q-commerce, I think there's a dovetail somewhere, right? So going back to my question, agile warehousing, was this something that you did as a strategy because you saw the future, or is this something that you did because as a reaction, okay, to a customer need or a customer demand? So, Raul, you first.
Okay, in respecting regarding to our company and our business, this is not an option. This is a must. Okay, our industry, we are competing with very big players, global big players, and we cannot compete or fight with the same weapons. So agile warehouse, agile supply chain is our way to hack the market, to hack the system, to hack the industry. We are very disruptive company in terms of approach the market, in terms of low cost, in terms of innovation. Uh, so I would say more than prevent the future, that for sure everybody would like to have a crystal ball, is about a necessity for us. It's a way, well, as we call it, the agile way, right? For sure, it's like you say, it's a journey. It's a continued journey. We at the beginning we are prioritizing the growing, penetrating to the markets. We can penetrate the market with low cost, with a good quality of product, but this is not sustainable only with that if you cannot give to your system and also to the whole entire supply chain. The entire supply chain is not only your company, right? It's including your suppliers, your customers.
It's the end to end. Yeah.
Yes, if you don't have this way of operate, I think it's not sustainable, and more with the current situation. I think with the current situation, for example, last year with the pandemic, was our best year. Was our best year, yes, because we are ready for that. We always operating in this kind of agility, flexibility that sometimes is very difficult to afford because always you are in in the fire like that, right? So I think yes, it's for us it's a necessity, and it's very good to see that already the teams in the region are changing that mindset, right? And not only internally, also our partnership, our customers, our suppliers, right? But it's still a journey trip that we are enjoying a lot in the process.
Yeah, Tony, before I get to you, I will just throw a follow-up question to Raul. Given that that it was something that you were already doing, okay, I am sure our viewers are interested to know um, how you were able to integrate your agile warehousing into your retail logistics operations. So that integration, that journey from
Yeah,
agile, how did that happen in your company?
I think this is our biggest opportunity, and also I would say not only for AJ, it's also for the industry. I think a lot of developments, a lot of improvements in technology and also in the models of business and supply chain. But I think the part of the retail was not so putting the real importance in all our supply chain, because in the floor, in the retail is where the things happen. If we have control the retail transactions, if we can control the retail sell out, all our flow of planning and execution will be in a better way, in a better fashion. Mostly we are focusing in distributors, right, on the wholesalers, and yes, in retail. But really, I think this is the biggest opportunity for us to implement this flow casting, no, with real information, online information with the retail, right, because they give the sense of the market, and also how we are facing that, we are segmenting some customers, right? No one size fits all.
Right,
This is
right.
very true for us. It will be happy for us, for the practitioners of supply chain, that everything is standard, but this is not all work in the market. So
It
that's
doesn't
why I
happen that
think,
way. We wish.
so I think this is our biggest opportunity. You mentioned a very interesting point. I still have maybe more questions than answers, but this is like my focusing now in how to integrate this the retailers operation, and now with e-commerce that booming so much, with our system that is not only in our companies, come from customer suppliers and the suppliers of suppliers, right?
Yeah, that's why we call it end to end. Yeah, we just do not look at our direct suppliers. We look at the tier 2, tier 3 suppliers, right? And then on the customer side, we don't look at the direct customers, but also the our customers' customer, right? And we learn from them, and all of this
Sure.
information we use to improve our operations, right? So that's end to end.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So Tony, back to you. Those two questions. What are the additional value to your customers, and how were you able to seamlessly integrate your agile warehouse into your retail logistics operations?
Oh, in terms of value to our customers, I'll take a step back. When I was a boy, I used to buy CDs and cassette tapes, and if I reflect back, for $20, I got 20 songs, maybe 60 minutes worth of music.
Yeah.
And now for $20, I can get for the same $20 of sales revenue, the companies are forced to give me every video known to man, and on top of that, every music album known to man in one go every month. So the fact is unfortunately, every generation that comes through demands more for its dollar than the previous generation, particularly in consumer goods.
Tony? Tony? Oh. Tony is based in Australia, and I guess because Australia is so far away, there is heavy traffic going to Singapore. So anyway, we'll go back to Tony once he's able to get his line again. In the meantime, Raul, I think this will be my last question for the panel, and I am sure that our viewers are very much interested in the journey. Okay, from now that they are not yet agile, but to somewhere in the future that they will be agile. Okay, so let's talk very briefly about your journey. Okay, I think Tony is Tony back. Tony, are you there? Anyway, we'll go back to Tony.
Already,
Oh,
already,
there,
Tony.
there he is. Tony, welcome
With
back.
the agility.
Very agile of you. Tony? Well, anyway, I think he's really having difficulty with this connection. So going back to you, Raul, our audience might be very interested. Oh, there he is. Can you
There
hear
you
us?
go. Yes, I can hear you. That my apologies. That was my corporate IT system that just went down. So I'm on my apologies. I'm on my personal phone now.
Okay, okay. So now that you're back, I think you can continue on with what you were saying.
I was saying that for every generation that goes past, and particularly in consumer goods, every dollar gets sweated more and more. And like I said, as with Raul, I think it's a point of necessity for us now. The fact is Amazon will give it to you for free shipping at the lowest price, delivered to your door the next day. And then there's one better. DoorDash will get it to you the same in the next kind of 20 or 30 minutes for a nominal fee. And so, you know, to compete with that across a broad SKU range, you've got to innovate. You've got to put warehousing and agile warehousing at the center of your operations. And, you know, that's the way the world is going. It's going to quicker. It's going to be more convenient. And retailers are going to have to absorb these costs as part of the costs of doing business and keeping their customers happy. Otherwise, they will go the way of some unfortunate department stores across the world. No matter how good the name brands, the fact is that consumers shop with their wallets, and the delivery services are very important. In terms of how we've integrated into our retail systems, with great difficulty and with great investment, is short. We have legacy systems where I guess a lot of work has been done across the group to replumb into at least allow API access and a standardized way of dealing with those systems, particularly over-the-counter POS and kind of store handheld scanners with great difficulty. And I think, you know, we aren't the first retailer to do that. Walmart is making monstrous investments in that area. Target, the US, has made very, very large investments in that area. Really, just to them, the stores are the agile warehouse of the future. You know, there's a bet for them that's the way it's going to go, and so they're making very large investments to digitize those networks.
Okay, this is my last question, and I think you mentioned the use of legacy systems, the transformation from, you know, that the journey from legacy systems to whatever systems that we have today. The last question is actually our viewers I assume would be thinking, how were they able to, you know, to transition from the traditional warehousing to where they are now as an agile warehouse? What technologies, what human resource requirements did they invest on? Okay, that would be very interesting to discuss. That's the last question before we go to the chat room. Tony, this one's for you first.
Some key parts, a modern kind of tier one warehousing provider. So if you look at someone like Gartner, you know, tier one providers like Manhattan, Blue Yonder, Infor, all these big kind of warehousing management service providers really provide a kind of turnkey solution, at least a kind of base configuration and a backbone that's going to enable cloud warehousing going forward, and in particular API access to data and to the ability to build your own functions from there. That is a step change above. That is a step change above what we've seen on previous in-house, you know, warehouse management systems have been built, or kind of on-prem deployments of kind of legacy WMSs. So I think that's a really important part to get right, because that's the core piece of software that drives a lot of the processes and the process flows within a warehouse. To that, I'd add another piece, which is kind of upstream planning. So Raul talked really greatly about S&OP planning and integrated business planning, merchant planning, all of these tools being able to talk to the warehouse management system to give a kind of control tower view of what's on the boats, what's being receipted, what's being planned to be bought, and what's available for sale. And I think the final part of the technology and the systems needed is, for me, is really good applications on top of these kind of core backbone pieces of software. So transport management systems, TMSs are a perfect example, right? Really flexible TMSs. An example I'll give you is someone like Amazon, which has a Deliveroo or a DoorDash or a Uber model already implemented as part of their transport management system in Amazon Flex. So the flexibility of around those kind of key second-tier applications, the TMS, the tracking, the visibility, that's a layer that needs to be taken care of. And so these are big investments for a lot of retailers to make. And I think, so these are big investments for large retailers to make. But it actually, I think, suits small and medium retailers much better, because at the end of the day, a lot of these investments are being made by cloud platforms as well. And it may actually pay in this new world to be a little smaller and more niche and nimbler than it does being a very, very large kind of retailer. And so what we're trying to do with that large retailers is give them the flexibility of being a medium retailer and the speed of being a medium retailer and the responsiveness of that. But you know, there are some great scale benefits of being large as well. But you know, in my opinion, I think the real sweet spot is for these kind of private label, niche branded, $500 billion. You know, big enough to get scale and small enough to not be Walmart, essentially, in terms of a transformation or a you know, without needing monstrous amounts. So I think that's where I think the world's going.
Yeah. Before I go to Raul, let me just encourage our viewers to send in their questions, because we have allotted a few minutes for your questions. So keep them going, okay? So Raul, same question for you, and this is our last question.
Yes, I totally agree that for make a warehouse truly agile needs visibility, right? The visibility is a very important point that need to be covered, right? And for sure, a good system of transport control tower, like Tony mentioned, the TMS and tracking and traceability is fundamental. This is for the part of the outbound. For the part of the inbound, also we have the special traceability, right? Maybe like technologies like big data or blockchain to ensure about the quality of the suppliers in the first, in the second tier. And also for sure that profile of the people, not only the technology, the profile of the people is very important to make these technologies a good enhancer of this agility system.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned about visibility. When supply chain people like you and I, when we talk about visibility, many people are, you know, what are they talking about? What is this visibility, right? But that's for a supply chain person, that's the most important thing. It is actually our holy grail, right? If any one of us can find the way to get the exact feature that we want, then we will be billionaires, right? So anyway, so thank you very much. We will now go to the chat room. We only have one question here coming from Carlo, and the question is, what is the importance of quality control in the warehouse? What are your activities? So let me ask Raul first.
Okay, so it's a very important question because a good quality control allow us to be more agile, right? And how you make a good quality control, maybe avoiding the quality control, right? I mean, for example, in the case of inbound, the suppliers should ensure the quality of the ingredients, the materials, the packaging. We made a framework, a contract, an agreement with them in order they are totally responsible that the materials arrive in good conditions. We don't need a special quality team in our warehouse for verify or for make a duplication of supervision. For sure, we have in our warehouse team a control, a visual control and with key important aspects of the material, of the ingredients, and they already train about it. That's why we have celerity and speedness to the flow, right? The same in the case of the outbound, right? In the process of manufacturing, they have to ensure the quality of the process and the product. So, in terms of quarantine, for example, for some other products or a special storage, the team in the warehouse, the team in the operation is involved and ensure that. Our quality team only audit and supervise, but it not makes a duplication of work that take time and also reduce speedness and flexibility.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Tony.
For us on the inbound, it's very important. We do millions of items, and shrinkage is always a cost in retail that needs to be accounted for. And so, quality control, particularly in e-commerce, on the inbound layer, is very tightly adhered to, and particularly so when we have a large electronics sales cycle. We have a lot of electronics products, Apple and MacBooks and the like, and these things, when they do shrink, cost a lot of money per unit. So the QA is absolutely vital for us.
Okay. Thank you for that. So, before I turn this over back to Kathleen, I would just like to ask you very short, closing comments, remarks, okay, about agile warehousing. Let's start with you, Tony.
I think the warehouses of the future are going to be unbelievably automated and agile and fast compared to the second or third generation ones. Amazon looks at its warehouses in terms of generations, and the current generation of warehouses is significantly better than their first or second generation. And I imagine that like fighter jets, the fifth or sixth generation fighters are stealthy and they're fast and they're much better than the old ones. So I'd imagine in 10 or 5 or 10 years that we're going to see much quicker, much faster delivery times, much faster dispatch times, and things getting to your door faster and faster for cheaper and cheaper. And I think that's the way it's going to be for the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, that's important. It should be affordable, right? How about you, Raul?
Well, I think one important aspect is to make simple the things. Simplicity is essential, right? Our networks, our supply chain networks is very complex to make more difficult in terms of execution and to understand all the people involved. That's why simplicity is essential for make this agility system a success, right? Is now, I think, it's about to survive. Now the companies, in order to survive, the companies need to respond to ever increasing levels of volatility in demand and focus their efforts to have a greater agility. This is something that the customer, relevant for the customer experience, right? So I think this is a very important aspect that maybe we have working in a continuous journey in make our system the most simple to execute, right? But for sure, in the meantime, we have a lot of problems to solve, a lot of unexpected things. But when the simplicity is ingrained and how the action plan and evaluation of the scenarios is in all the people, also is very is easiest to implement and execute that.
And with that, I would like to thank both of you for your time. This was a fun conversation, and I'm sure that our viewers have learned a lot about agile warehousing from both of you gentlemen. So thank you very much. And I'm turning this back over to Kathleen.
Thank you so
Thanks.
much, Norman, for moderating the session. And of course, to Raul and Tony for your insights this morning. So for our audience who still have questions, you can connect with our panelists and Norman directly in this platform. Also, our audience, please do take time to visit the virtual exhibition area today where you can see our sponsors' products and services. Thank you all and see you in our next session.